If you've been watching this channel for a hot second, then you probably know that one of my favorite things in the entire world would most definitely be South Park, the controversial and yet beloved animated adult comedy. And if you're new to this channel, then there you go. The more you know. I love South Park for a multitude of reasons, but I think the larger fractions of my adoration for it would have to be its blatant "we don't care" attitude. Show co-creators Matt Stone and Trey Parker have never been afraid to push the boundaries of political correctness. Even today, 26 seasons in, they show no weariness when faced with uncomfortable topics. They just make a joke out of it because, well, what else are you gonna do about it? And for basically forever, they have been unapologetic in their controversial escapades into comedy. However, there was one episode from late 2001 that Matt and Trey actually feel bad about.
Say what?
Yeah, they have feelings. That episode is none other than Butter's very own episode.
Well, that's me. Yeah.
Now, before delving into why they feel remorse for the episode, let's go over what exactly the episode entailed. Because despite not being mentioned in my Flanderization video about Randy, it's one of my absolute favorites. It is such a classic. I just have so many favorites that it's hard to keep track of them all. So with that being said, let's get into it. Acting as the finale for season 5, Butter's very own episode is, well, just that. All about Butters. Now, to a degree, I would argue that it focuses more on just how screwed up his parents are, but that's just me. The episode starts off innocently enough with Butters and his parents planning a special trip to Bennigan's for their wedding anniversary. Also, why are you taking your kid for your wedding anniversary? That's so weird. Maybe that's just a me thing too. But quickly, it turns into Detective Butters sifting through dirty bathhouses and X-rated theaters in search of his father, Stephen, who is called Chris in this episode, but we're just gonna ignore that. Eventually, at the ever-grotesquely named White Swallow, Butters comes across his dad in a very compromising position, awaiting his secret gay lover. Butters, being literally 9 years old at this point in the show, is confused, but altogether pretty nonchalant about the whole thing due to just how innocent he is. He's so nonchalant that he offhandedly confesses the entire thing to his mom, Linda, who handles the whole thing really well. You know, especially when she takes Butters to the river and lets the car sink with him locked inside of it. Yeah, she's doing just fine. Linda returns home, and just before she attempts suicide, Stephen stops her and apologetically rations with her, pleading for everything to go back to normal. She gives in to forgiveness pretty quick, but laments that things will never be the same, because their beloved son, Butters, is dead. Except he's not. He's miraculously survived and is on his way home, actually. Because it was all just an accident that his mom drove the car into the water and left him there for dead. Yeah, it was all just some wild misunderstanding.
Sure, Jan.
Linda and Stephen go public with claims that Butters had been taken, pushing the blame onto some Puerto Rican guy, because why not? Soon, the couple is inducted into a very special club, consisting of people who have lost those close to them. Individuals such as O.J. Simpson, Gary Condit, and John and Patsy Ramsey. Nice. All 4 caricatures are simply designed to be creepy sleazeball liars who all use the some Puerto Rican guy scapegoat, because someone's gotta take the blame and it's definitely not gonna be them. Eventually, Butters finds his way home. Despite being overjoyed by their son's inexplicable return, the Stotches are dumbstruck and not sure what hand to play next. What lie do they use this time? What story should they hatch for the media about how they got Butters back? Butters rightfully calls his parents out for their continuous string of lies, and so the Stotches decide to publicly come clean about everything, including Linda's homicidal streak and Stephen's bi-curiosity. Poor Butters is utterly traumatized by these revelations, obviously not realizing the full realities of his parents' erratic behavior. Stephen implores the other members of the Puerto Rican Guy Club to confess, while they all just give the most unsettling, dead-eyed smiles back at him. especially Gary. Ugh. Everyone seems to move on relatively easy because it's just another day in their quiet little mountain town. Everyone except Butters, who is stuck in an absolute state of shock, aghast by his mother's flippant confession to attempted child murder. However, there's Bennigan's to be had, so he forces himself to recover, thus bringing the episode to a close. What a wild ride. I mean, really, my quick summarization doesn't do this episode justice. It's truly one of those episodes that you need to watch because every moment is a classic. It's truly something else. Butters' very own episode is considered one of the best. Even if it's not near the top of your list in terms of best South Park episodes, it's definitely one of the more memorable ones. From the fact that it's an episode all about Butters, a fan-favorite character, to the ridiculous endeavors of Stephen and Linda, and of course the unsettling caricatures and commentary of many topical true crime murder suspects. All of these pieces mesh together perfectly to make a comedic masterpiece. And yet, in the eyes of co-creators Matt and Trey, it's far from perfect. But why? Why does this episode make them actually feel a little bit slimy? It seems so out of character for the pair. Well, in a 2011 interview, Trey and Matt expressed that they actually do feel really bad about the episode due to its brutal portrayal of John and Patsy Ramsey, as well as Gary Condit. Not OJ though. Screw him. Allegedly. When the episode aired in 2001, there was a lot of talk on the streets, and much controversy revolving around all 4 people targeted in this episode. And in true South Park fashion, they found the easiest targets of the week and poked fun at them. Even if maybe they shouldn't have. Years later, in hindsight, a lot more has come to the light about each case, which has changed the public perception a lot as well, including Trey and Matt, who know that they were not justified in their daggers pointed at the Ramseys or Condit. The regret carries another level though, as Patsy Ramsey died of ovarian cancer in 2006 before their apologies could carry through to her. I think that they went harder on John and Patsy than they did with OJ even. Yeah, it was pretty rough in retrospect. Trey and Matt went along with the media frenzy, which had framed the Ramsey family to all be a little bit jealous of JonBenet. So jealous to the point where they would brutally murder her. There were definitely issues with how the case had been handled, but at the end of the day, it's not up to the Ramseys to do the police work when they're in a state of horror. But I really don't think there was any malice intent or pent-up jealousy against JonBenet from her parents. And I think that's probably how the guys see the whole thing in retrospect too. For a decade, most people were convinced Gary had gotten away with murder. However, a new face in the case emerged. After a trial in 2010, he was convicted for her murder. It was likely at this point in time that Trey and Matt went, "Oh shit," and realized that they sort of jumped the gun a bit, pointing the finger at a relatively easy target. However, Guandic's conviction was overturned in favor of a new trial, and he has since been deported and no longer a main suspect. So, who knows? Maybe after all of that they don't feel so bad anymore, because we still don't know what really went down and we probably never will. Now, despite any morally based regrets Matt and Trey, or even I may have regarding the episode, it still is considered to be a holy grail staple in the show's catalog. At least to me it is. I could look at the episode and reject it due to its unfair characterizations, or I could simply look at it in hindsight and acknowledge why they did what they did, and understand that opinions can change. I mean, this episode came out when all of the media craziness was flying around. The blame was being thrown all over the place, and people like to dogpile even when they shouldn't. It's the toxic trait of humans as a whole. Despite any faults I have found with the episode from that standpoint, I still can enjoy it for what it is. A ridiculously hilarious satire on O.J. Simpson and O.J. Simpson only. Allegedly.